Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today for the Fitchburg Fire Department is my friend Mark Malekish. He's back, and today we're talking about my favorite subject, grilling. Love the grilling season. Mark, how you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be back.
Mark, what is your favorite thing to grill? If you're going to grill something.
Favorite thing to grill? Steaks.
Steaks. Straight up steaks.
Yep.
I would agree with you. Steaks are my number one, chicken my number two. But if you ask me on the charcoal grill what I would want to do, steak. No, I'm just kidding. No, I would do chicken on the charcoal grill. Oh my goodness, it's my favorite. But we're not here to talk about what we like to grill. We're here to talk about grill safety and a few safety tips as we roll into summertime. Big grilling season, especially with 4th of July. So, just gets hot with grilling. But there's a lot of things that go into keeping everybody safe and grilling. The first area we're going to cover is actually looking at apartment complexes or multi-family dwellings, and about having a grill on the patio or out on your deck.
Yeah, so if you live in a multifamily structure, which is anything 3 units or more, the rule is if you have a combustible deck, you can't have a grill on it. Doesn't matter if it's charcoal grill or a gas grill. You
Flat top?
simply can't do it. No flat tops and no Traegers, pellet grills, anything like that. That comes out of the state fire code. So, and what happens is, in a multifamily structure, if something bad happens while somebody's grilling, multiple people are affected. So that's really where that's born from.
Well, there's not a lot of space. When you look at the deck space on these places, I mean, you're talking about not even 10 by 10 sometimes spot.
Yeah, and the recommendation when you do grill, it's not to say that if you live in an apartment, you can't grill. What we're saying is if you live in an apartment, assuming it's okay with the apartment owner's guidelines, your landlord's guidelines, you can grill at ground level. But we do recommend that the grill is at least 10 feet from the structure.
I would even take it further, and we would just, safely away, just because you don't want to the chance of the wind blowing something or.
And that's what happens a lot of times, right? Grills are too close to the house, or because in a single family structure or a duplex, you are allowed to grill where you want. That's your residence, right? But we see a lot of fires where the grill gets into the vinyl siding, or something happens and the grill gets tipped over and ends up on the combustible deck, and then it's off to the races. They're hard to contain, especially if it's a LP grill. It's hard to get that fire out, and before you've had a chance really to call 911, it's moving on you.
It's going,
yeah,
so to speak. Well, starting in statistics, based from 2017 to 2021, July, 16% was the peak month for grill fires, followed by June, which is at 14. So, I mean, when we're really talking about fires and grill fires specifically, it is the time of year that these things occur.
It is. They happen year-round, but we're right in the heart of the main season, if you will, for grills to be catching on fire, just simply because it's that time of year. Everybody loves to go out and have a steak on the grill or chicken or whatever it is.
Well, I was hoping you were going to say fish, because fish on the grill is pretty good too, but.
It is. Salmon on a wet plank.
Oh,
yeah.
It's good stuff.
That's the way to go.
Well, I guess ultimately, if you are cooking on a grill, and a grill, for whatever reason, you get flames, maybe because you didn't empty the grease tray, maybe whatever circumstance, what would you recommend doing immediately if you notice that there's fire? Let's kind of walk through a little bit of a scenario here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna back up a little bit on that and go from the prevention side.
Ooh, even better.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? Keeping your grill nice and clean is the very first and best thing that you can do. An estimated 20% of grill fires start because the grill isn't or hasn't been cleaned in some time. Beyond that, keeping a water source, a fire extinguisher, or even a spray bottle down nearby so that you can squelch any flames that pop up. Take hamburgers, for example. That grease that drips off the hamburgers, very flammable. Very flammable.
It really is. Let me tell you, I was already this year had a little bit of a flare-up, so to speak, because I had 12 burgers on there and remembered, oh, yeah, these really, can load up with... but But I was going for the flame broiled, effect.
You must have got it then.
Yeah, that's what I told those people who were eating those.
The other and probably most important rule, aside from keeping it clean, is stay with it. Don't walk away from it. Just like fires in the kitchen, you've got to stay with things that you're cooking so that you can make sure bad things aren't happening.
And if the bad thing does happen, now we got back to a point of it's going. You've got flames coming out the side, or you open it up and you're like, oh my gosh, it is going. What should somebody do? And I know that's kind of a loaded question, so
Sure.
Certainly different viewpoints,
Sure.
but you can control it quickly if you act.
If you have a fire extinguisher nearby, a simple ABC fire extinguisher, and you know how to use that fire extinguisher, pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. I got to get my plug in. But if you have a fire extinguisher nearby, that's the best way to do it. If you're having a fire in a grill, it's probably a grease fire, so having water on it isn't going to be the best possible thing. If you are using a LP or any other kind of gas-fired grill, try to shut the tank off or the controls off if possible. Close the lid. But beyond those, dial 911 soon. The faster you call 911, the faster we can respond and make sure that fire doesn't get too far out of hand.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is you can make your judgment call at some point, but if it's going, don't wait, act, in some capacity, whether it's calling 911 right away. You would rather get there and put out a small fire versus, a fire that is taken off and taking half of your house.
Yeah, we would much rather show up and have you say, it flared up on me, it scared me to death, but I did get it put out. We'll check it over with a thermal camera. Make sure that there's no hot spots, and we'll let you to your day after that. We don't mind at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can serve them burgers if you so choose.
Right.
Finally, just on charcoal grills specifically, when we're dealing with charcoal, it's a little bit different because once you get it going, it stays hot for a long period of time. So what should be some good reminders for people who are using that charcoal?
Yeah, so I'm going to dive back into an incident from earlier in my career. Gentleman was grilling in his garage at a fourplex. So the garage was at ground level. He thought the grill was out. He put the cover on and he pulled it inside the garage because he was done cooking and they went inside to eat. They ended up with very, very high carbon monoxide levels. So there's a whole different problem.
Wow.
Carbon monoxide is created from the combustion process, right? But beyond that, you've got to let that grill sit outside that charcoal, let it cool for way longer than you think you should. When you're ready to put it away or you think you're ready, if you wouldn't stick your hand in that charcoal, don't put it inside. Don't put those charcoal briquettes or coals, don't put them in a garbage can. I've been to several fires where they put them in their typical refuse can and the can goes up. And then gets to the house, and then you're off to the races again.
Yeah, it's recommended to put it in a metal bucket if you're removing it, and if you're going to go that route. But I like the idea of if you wouldn't put your hand in there, it's not done cooling down. I think that's a really good figure out that it's too quick.
If you get your hand down there and you feel a little heat and you think, nah, I'm not going to put my fingers in that, then it's still too warm to put away.
Out. All right. Good tips there. Certainly, if anybody has any questions or concerns, too, with their grill, maybe there's a gas leak in it or something, anything weird. I mean, you guys are always open to take questions. And
we'll take questions. We'll even come out and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're happy to do that.
Don't take a chance, right?
Right. It's just not worth it.
And yeah, we should make a note, too. You should check your grill every year when you start the grilling unless you're somebody who grills year-round, which, good for you. But... Right. Nevertheless, you should probably check those hoses and things and make sure that everything is operational. Yeah,
I have a LP grill on my deck at home. I live in a single-family residence, just to be clear.
Thank you.
But the hoses and the regulators and all of that stuff, easily replaceable. I ended up putting a new hose on mine this year.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I noticed that I turned the gas on and I could hear something. And by the way, you don't check if gas is leaking. Don't check that with a match.
No.
You can check it with some water. Just put some water on the hose and found a leak instantly. And like, oh man, that's happening.
Yep. Soapy water is actually ideal because it'll bubble up a little bit.
Dang it, I should have did that. Wow. Hey, I learned something too. All right. Well, if people do want to get in contact with you, have any questions, how can they get in contact with you?
Get a hold of me at Fire Station 1 or my email. All of that's available out on the website. And we'll be happy to answer any questions, help out, come take a look at your setup and offer suggestions. Happy to do that.
Absolutely. All right, Mark, thank you so much. Enjoy the grilling season, sir.
Thank you. You too.